Hello everyone, good morning. Okay, so in the last session we completed, collection, right? And today we are going to start with exception handling. Last topic from Java, okay? So just a minute, let me open the document. Okay, so very first, this topic is again very much important to know about, okay, programming. Because see, in automation also, we have some exceptions to understand, okay? But every exceptions we are not able to handle. Try to understand, okay? But still, what is exception? Why the exception handling is required, correct? All these points are important to know. So there are different exceptions available, few exceptions which are available in Java and few exceptions available in Selenium, which are totally different. Okay, automation exceptions are different, basically. But if you ask me what is exception, then I will tell you in a simple word, like anything in your code, okay, any statement in the code or any particular variable if you declare in the code, right? And if it is abnormally behaving in your program or it is interrupting the complete execution flow of the program, then such a statement is called exception. Got it? So what is exception? Any abnormal condition which will interrupt the flow of execution and code will be immediately stopped over there, okay, to execute. Then such a particular condition we can call exception. Now, generally what happen? Why we need to handle it? So if you know, like you have written certain statements in the program and some statement is throwing some exception, right? So as I told you, whenever there is exception, code flow or code execution flow will be stopped immediately on that line. Correct? It will not able to continue next execution. So just to continue entire flow of the execution, exception handling is very, very important. Okay. Remember in programming, you will get exceptions and that we can easily handle. Okay. That we can easily handle. But if you have any error, what is the difference in error and exception? Error can be of any type. Okay. That might be syntax type of error. If you have any syntactual error, means suppose I'm writing the statement and I miss to enter semicolon, then you will get syntactual error and that we can handle, guys. But errors are also available related to memory. Okay. If you have any error related to memory, such a error you can't able to handle directly. Remember. So generally exception handling is possible, but error handling is not possible. If it is syntactual problem, you can handle it. But if there is a problem related to JVM, right? Somewhere you will get na JVM memory or let's say stack memory. We have seen stack overflow error. Such a type of error you can't handle directly using programming or directly using this concept. So remember two things. What is exception and how we can handle in Java, right? So any abnormal condition which disturb the flow of execution and your code will be stop executing. Such a condition we can call exception. So it is like unwanted event, right? Which disturb normal flow of the program. And exception handling is a mechanism where we can handle any runtime or any compile time exception. Generally, for exception, there are two types, okay? One is compile time exception. Okay, now the point is whose responsibility it is to handle compile time exception. So guys, remember compile time exception always handled by JVM. And whenever you have runtime exception, those exceptions we can handle. Runtime means if you run the code and you got any exception, that exception you can handle. So generally class not found exception, IO exception, remote exception, there are many exceptions that you will get at the runtime. And exception handling will help you or it ensure the normal flow of the application. So generally somewhere issue might occur, right? Then it will create exception. It will throw the exception. But whenever there is exception in the code, we can handle that exception. So these are the four steps which are important for exception handling. Okay. See, this is the main flow. Okay. We know that object is a superclass in Java. Correct? Inside a object class, we have child class which is throwable. Under this throwable class, please look that particular screen where we have two childs, exception and error. And as I told you, exceptions we can handle easily, but errors you can't handle easily, guys, because somewhere errors are problem related to memory. There might be virtual machine memory error. There might be assertion error, and that you can't handle directly. But yes, any exceptions if you have, you can easily handle. So there are again two types: compile time exception and runtime exception. And in interview, people might ask you explain any five exceptions from Java. Okay, explain any five exceptions like in Selenium. So both exceptions are different, and this topic is important to know. So example, just tell me in real time, okay? Suppose you are trying to log in into Facebook application, and when you enter something wrong, okay? Whenever generally user enters some data, maybe I'm trying to log in and I have entered wrong email ID, I have entered wrong password. What will happen in that case? Whenever anything is like anything mistake happen by the user, right? Because user might follow that wrong step or something else, right? In that case, application has to guide to that user. Okay, that suppose you are, if I enter something username or that email ID and password wrong, I should have a message from the system that okay, you enter wrong username or wrong credentials. Very simple. Correct? At that moment, I'm not expecting that if I just enter something wrong, my application should be, let's say, it should hang or it should crash. No, guys. Behavior, whatever we are expecting from the software, it is totally different. Correct? And how internal it is possible. Whenever user is doing something wrong, how the software application showing to that user appropriate or meaningful message, this is possible because of the exception handling. So whenever you will do any wrong thing, immediately system will generate some exception, but internally developer has to handle that, right? And that's the reason on a console you will able to see meaningful message. So that is possible using exception again. Okay, but the point is, now we need to understand difference. What is difference between error and what is difference between exception? So technically, both the classes, these are classes, okay? These are special classes available in Java. Both the classes are a part of java.lang package. You can see. Okay, so exception class and error class. Then error, as I told you, impossible to recover from the error. But recovery handling is possible from exception. Remember, because errors are mostly problem with the memory. Okay. Now the point is application prefer crash rather than handling error. You can see this. This is what the real time thing. Okay, we can't handle the error directly, and application always prefer to crash. Exception can be handled using programmatically. We can correct, we can just perform corrective action, right? Using exception handling. Generally, there are two types of exception available: checked, unchecked. Guys, that is means compile time and runtime. Okay, so we have two types. Checked means compile time, unchecked means runtime. And errors are only unchecked type. Means error will be always generated at the time of execution. The best example that we have seen practically, like stack overflow error. If you remember, whenever all the methods are calling right one by one, we have seen this scenario. M1 calling M2, M2 calling M3, M3 is again calling M1. And this is occur something deadlock situation. Continuously we are calling method. So at some point stack will be overflow, correct? And you will get the error stack overflow error. But that we can't recover, remember. And that is what happen at runtime. So it can cause because of environment of that application which is running. Main reason behind this is what? Maybe something related to memory or environment. But yes, exceptions can be of both type, runtime, compile time, right? And it is caused because of the application issue. So maybe you have entered something wrong in the application and then you are getting some exception. So remember, because of the environment cause, errors will be there. Because of the application problem, exceptions will be there. And this is the topic which we'll be learning. Okay, what are the different types of exceptions and how we can handle it? So very first, any abnormal condition which simply okay generate a situation where your entire flow of program gets stopped or we are not able to continue the execution, right? Then such a thing or such a condition called exception. Technically in Java, it is just a class, right? And exception handling is important to maintain normal flow of the execution. And there are two types: compile time and runtime. So compile time exception and runtime exception, exactly what is the meaning of this part? Okay. Generally, compile time exception, it is all about the, we can say, anything which is generated while writing the code. If you're writing something, okay, and if that statement is throwing some exception, immediately you will get red color line over there, and such exception we can call compile time. And as I told you, compile time exception, it is a responsibility to handle JVM. JVM will take care all the checked exceptions. But guys, unchecked exceptions you need to handle practically through the programming. Okay, so unchecked means runtime. So this is again decision will be taken care at the compile time, then it is compile time. And execution means decision will be taken care if it at runtime, then it is called unchecked exception. But let's understand the practical example so you will understand better this concept. Okay, how we can handle any exception. What is exception in Java? So guys, so far we have discussed multiple exceptions actually during the topics, but let me help you today with this complete information about exception handling. So better I will create a separate package. This is the last topic from Java. Let me create a package. I'm just writing com dot. This is week 5. Okay, week 5. And inside that I'm just writing exception handling. Okay, just have a look. So very first I will show you one example for runtime exception. Okay, runtime exception. Okay, now just have a look. In runtime exception, let me take a main function. So public, then I'm writing static, correct? And then let me write void. This is main, string arguments, correct? This is the main function. And then guys, let me start with some examples for exception handling. Let me do one thing. I'm declaring two variables. Let's talk about very common exception. I'm having 10 and B is having, let's say, again 5. Okay, done. And at this moment, what will happen? Whatever data you have entered, either you can make it dynamic using scanner and you can perform some arithmetic operation on that data. Great. Then I'm writing here quickly, like, okay, fine. Very first, I wanted to go with addition. And I'm writing, okay, addition is correct. And here I'm writing inside the bracket that A plus B. Okay. Similarly, I will copy the statement and I will write here. Let's say I wanted to perform 4 to 5 operation. Here I'm performing, let's say subtraction is, okay, subtraction is, and let me just perform A minus B. Then I'm writing division, okay, C, division. And here I will just write A divided by B. And last operation, suppose I'm writing multiplication. And for multiplication, I'm writing A into B. Okay. Now, absolutely, if your data is absolutely valid data, you will able to see the result. No problem at all. See, if I run the code, now it will divide, it will multiply same number, and you will able to see the result in the console. But please have a look. I'm changing the number of B. I'm making it 0, right? Now, what is the problem with this scenario? In mathematical terms, if you try to divide any number by 0, you will get divide by 0 error. Remember, generally what happened at this moment, divide by 0 means that is not possible in Java. You can't divide any number by 0. And there you will get on that line, whenever you try to perform division, on this line you will get one exception, which is called arithmetic exception, and which is very, very common scenario. Okay, so let me show you. Now what happens, see, if I run the code, I have changed the number, and that's the reason I got this exception, right? Now this exception coming at the runtime, and that's the reason it is called runtime exception. If you can see what is written, how to read, read from this line. Exception in thread main means in main method there is exception, and you know this is your class name. Remember Java dot lang arithmetic exception. So this is your class name. After colon whatever it is, that is your exception message. So what message I am getting? Divided by 0 error. Correct? And on which line you are getting this exception? So guys, I have created this class, okay, runtime exception. Under runtime exception, line number 11, I have this arithmetic exception. Are you getting my point? So very first, if I click on this 11, right? it is highlighting that line in your code, that on this line we have exception. And what is the exception name? Exception name is arithmetic exception. So why we are getting this? Because we have written wrong number. We can't divide any number by 0. And that's the reason we got arithmetic exception. This is first example, very basic example where you can see exception, right? Now I'll do one thing. Suppose I'm writing here simple integer array. Okay, so let's say A double R. And here I'm writing single dimensional array. Second example of exception, guys. Let me write 10, 20, 30, and 40. The total only 4 elements I'm having. What I'm trying to do is come to this sysout statement and I'm trying to print particular entry for that array. If I enter 3, okay, array of 3 I wanted to print in the console. Absolutely it will work and you will see the result. Because you know the rule, array values store as per their indexing. Means first value at a 0th position, second value it is at 1 position, this is at 2 and this is at 3. So if I am writing array of 3, definitely it will return to me 40. But let's say I'm writing please return array of 4. At this moment, see, compile time, there is no problem at all. But everybody, you are already aware. If you pass wrong index value in array, it will always throw the exception array index out of bounds exception. Correct now? So please have a look. At this moment, if I run my code, what exception I'm getting? See, I got 40, but after 40, I got exception. And please understand, whenever there is exception, after that, if you have any other statement, that will be not executed. Let's say in current example, let's say after 4, I'm writing here one statement. Okay, so array index is okay. All right, let me just write done basically. Chalo, I will write only done. I wanted to print this message. But you can see, if there is exception on line number 10, line number 11 will be not executed. So let me run one more time and see. I got only 40, but there is no done statement. Why? Because we got exception on a line number 10. And that exception is very common again, which is array index out of bounds exception. And it says the message that index 4, it is out of bound for length 4. And see on line number 10, we have this exception. Clear? So very first, this is also another example of runtime exception only, right? And whenever there is exception, you will not able to see the next execution of that statement. So this is second example, which I wanted to show you as a array index out of bound exception. Let me show you one more. So guys, this topic we have seen, if I declare a string, let's say string S1, and I'm having some number inside my string. Okay, S1, it is equal to, let's say inside the string, I'm writing this number. Okay. And we know that this is number 90 is a number, right? So we wanted to just convert string to integer, primitive. Okay, string to primitive, I wanted to convert. How we can convert string to primitive? So we can use wrapper class. Correct. What I can do? I can follow integer. Okay, fine. Integer dot what? I will say parse in. And there we need to pass S1. And then finally S1 will return to you as a integer data. I can say this is number. And now in that number, I'm able to perform certain operation. Means if I just write, okay, if I just write sysout statement, and if I just write number plus 100, absolutely that number is now converted in the form of integer. So when you say plus 100, answer will be 190. Okay. But same statement, if I write here, I'm writing S1 plus 100. What will be the answer, everyone? Do you remember whenever we have a string and along with string, if you apply plus operator, it will just act like a merge or concatenation. So you will get answer at this moment, this one, 90 plus 100. So 90, 100 will be the answer. But when you convert that string in the form of integer, you will get accurate addition, which is 190. Just have a look. What the result we are getting currently on that in that console. Can you see that? Initially, I got 90, 100. And when I converted it, then I'm getting correct answer, which is 190. Right? But how it is possible? Because of this method. Correct na? Parsing method. And what is the documentation for this method? This method says that, okay, fine. We can parse that string into decimal number, but you should have appropriate string. Please read. If string does not contain parsable integer, you will get number format exception. Okay, so when what is meaning of this? Suppose along with the 90 there is ABC written, and now you wanted to convert it in the form of integer. But this is not only number, right? It's a combination of string along with number, character plus number. And such a data, it is not at all parsable. Means this conversion is not possible. And then in that case, at line number 12 itself, you will see number format exception. Let me show you at this moment what is the output. Please have a look. I got only concatenation, but after concatenation, I'm getting immediate exception. And see, this is the tracing, okay? So you are getting number format exception, correct? Number format exception for input stream. What input string? 90 and ABC. Remember. And on which line it is coming? So you are getting at line number 12. See, runtime exception, line number 12. Okay, so if I just copy this exception for your reference, so this is also one of the example of runtime exception only. Are you getting my point? So three exceptions we have discussed, right? What is number format exception? Then array index out of bound exception and arithmetic exception. And all these are coming at the time of execution. Now the most common exception which you will get in Selenium also, let's understand that one. Okay, we have already started discussion, okay, at initial sessions, like what is class in Java and what is object in Java. And you know that, right? Any class, without class structure, you will be not able to write a program in Java, right? But let's see, suppose I'm having some ID here. Okay, ID is equal to 101. Great. And this ID, we know that it is an instance variable. And if I ask you, okay, print the ID. Okay, I wanted to print ID in the console. What we need to do? So we have a simple rule to call anything from instance variable or any instance method if you wanted to call, you need a object. Correct now? Okay, so I will do what? For this class, I will create object here. Runtime exception, R1 it is equal to new and runtime exception constructor. Great, everyone. Now through R1, I can call that variable. So R1 dot ID. Perfect. And now that ID I can print in the console. So if I execute this code, see at this moment I'm getting the result. ID is what? 101. Great. But what if, because of some reason, suppose internally your ID will be null. Then if I just write now, R1 is equal to null. Basically, I'm trying to create null object. Are you getting my point? Not ID. I'm just writing R1 as a null. So object I have created, but suddenly my object is now assigned as a null. And whenever any object is null, in that case, if you try to call any variable, any method from that object, you will get exception, null pointer exception, which is very, very common exception for Java. In fact, in Selenium. Got it? So what is null pointer exception? Suddenly suppose your object is null. And if you try to call your data from that object, in that situation you will get, okay, null pointer exception. Now please have a look. If I run this statement, I mean run this code, now I am getting run null pointer exception. This is again another class. It says that cannot read the field ID because R1 is null. Can you see that clear message? It says that we are not able to read field ID. What is ID? Because R1 is null. And I'm getting this on line number 14. Correct? Whenever I try to call ID with that null object, at this moment I'm getting null pointer exception. So these all are what? These are simple runtime exceptions only. But guys, as I told you, if you have a runtime exception, you will get this kind of messages in your console. Now think as per the user point of view. If there is a user and we design this application, right? And we have written that, okay, fine, if you pass wrong data, if your object is null, you will get null pointer exception. If you pass wrong data like 0, and if you try to divide any number by 0, you will get arithmetic exception. So we know that exception point because we are a technical person. What if your end user is not a technical person? and end user is trying to use this application, and if because of any reason, if end user get this kind of message, is your application guiding to that user what to do and what message it is? No, right? See, if I'm not technical person, I will not understand this line. Exception in thread main. I will not understand what is null pointer, what is this cannot read field, because I'm not a technical person in that case. Then I will not able to understand this point. So why we need to handle exception? The reason is user should be guided with the appropriate message. Okay, instead of this, if I write, okay, please check your object is null, user will understand and user will check their object. Are you getting my point? So the point is, whenever you have exception, you should not get this kind of red color lines. You should get meaningful message to handle that exception. Means, and that is called actually exception handling. So instead of this, I should provide to my user meaningful message. And that is called exception handling. But guys, in Java, how many ways are there to handle the exception? Now focus. There are only two ways. Okay. If you have any exception to handle, and remember as per the type, if the exception is compile time, then compile time exception and runtime exception. Then remember compile time exception, it is a responsibility to handle by JVM. And generally here we use throws keyword to handle the exception. Okay. But if you have any runtime exception we can handle using try catch. Using try catch block, we can handle runtime exception. So what does mean by try block and what does mean by catch block? Remember the importance of this catch and try block. Okay. Try block where you can write a statement which will throw the exception. Okay. Exception statement generally we write inside the try. And guys, to handle that exception, okay, we write this catch block. In catch block, here you need to pass what exception it is, means we need exception object here, right? And here you can write that statement to handle exception. So handling statement we write here, remember. Okay. Most commonly try catch is very, very popular and it is very much important to handle exception. Okay. Generally using try catch, you can handle both the exception. If you have compile time also, and if you have runtime also, you can handle both the things using try catch. But using throws, you can't handle runtime exception. Are you getting my point? So runtime is only possible strictly with try catch, but compile time also we can handle using try catch. No problem at all. But generally we have to follow the rule. If there is a compile time, decision will be taken care by the JVM and it will handle by the JVM. That's the reason we generally follow throws keyword. So currently I have shown you all the exception which is of type runtime. So let me show you how you will handle it. Okay. So please have a look one by one again solution for these exceptions. So at this moment I will take a first example, same null pointer. And we know that line which is throwing the exception, which is R1, this line, line number 14. So what is the concept? Line number 14, you should keep inside try block. Okay, you just need to write try. Then you will be writing catch. Okay. And inside the catch, what exception it is, you can declare this object. Currently, I'm getting null pointer, right? I'm writing null pointer exception, object is n. And then what is the purpose of this exception? So generally we know that if object is null, then only you will get this exception. So currently I'm writing meaningful message to the user. Okay, please check your object as it is null. Now please have a look. Whenever I'm writing this part, right? In this case, you need to understand 2 points. What if exception is not there? How the code will work? Please understand, suppose if I comment this line, means at this moment my object is not null. Object is already initialized. Correct? At this moment, if I try to print, means if I try to run this code, what it will do? It will first create an object. It will come to inside the try. It will check this statement R1 is calling ID. If yes, then it will print that ID in the console. But whenever try block is executed, and it found there is no exception in this at this moment, right? It will never come inside catch, and it will directly come outside, and you will see that message. Suppose again I'm writing done statement at the end, so you will able to see directly at the last done statement. Okay, please have a look. At this moment, if I run the code, very first object created, it called id, and say I'm getting done, but catch block is not executed. The point to be understand when the catch block will be called, if there is exception in that try, means whatever statement you have written inside the try, if that statement throws exception, then only it will come to the catch and it will handle it. Now let me remove this comment. Okay, now I have explicitly declared my object as a null just to show you this exception. What will happen at this moment? At this moment, if you try to call r1.id, it will throw the exception null pointer exception. And then in that case, it will come to this catch and it will just print this message. The user will not get any red color lines or any technical message. Now the user is getting only plain message. Please check your object as it is null. And now I'm getting done. Is this point clear? So guys, previously we got red color lines, but now at least we are getting what? That meaningful message because we have successfully handled that exception. And what is purpose of this object? So generally this object will help you to trace the entire exception. Okay, somewhere we can write in this man. End dot, okay, just you can write end dot get message. There are many methods. You can try this method, right? If I write end dot and see there is a one more. Print stack trace. Means in the stack, how this exception is generated. If you wanted to print that, you can print that particular stack trace using this method. See if I run, what exactly I'm getting. At this moment, first of all, you can see I'm getting this message also, right? Plus I'm getting exception message that we cannot read ID because of R1 is null. And if you wanted to print that stack trace, because of that method, I got this one, right? So what exactly current exception it is, you are able to see in the console, and then I'm getting done. So try to understand why we are getting these many statements because of this method. Get message method will help you to get the exception message. Clear? And when you say print stack trace method, it will give you that exception statement, like what exactly exception it is, and at which line you are getting that exception in your code. Correct? So this is the concept you need to understand. But yes, we have handled this exception at this moment, and that's the reason it is working fine. And even we are able to run this next statement, which is done. So this is first example which we have seen, okay, to handle exception in Java using try catch. Now let me come to the next example. So we have seen this, right? If you declare a string, and we know that if string is invalid, at this line you are getting exception. So how to handle it, everyone? Just keep it inside the try. Okay, this block I'm writing inside the try block. But please understand rule here. See what the statement it is. Integer dot parsing. And this whatever parsing, I mean whatever converted value it is, I'm trying to hold into num variable. But suppose that variable you are using in next statement, which you can see here, I'm using num plus 100. But if you write that statement outside the try, that will not work. So we should keep this statement inside the try. So in try block, we can write one statement, multiple line of statement, that is completely fine. Okay. And then I have to declare here just to handle that exception, catch block. So I'm writing catch. And which exception we got? So let me write number format exception, right? And again, I'm writing here E. And at this moment, if you want, you can provide a meaningful message to the user. So let me write, please, okay, enter, please enter valid string with number. So if I enter valid string only with number, then only it will work. So at this moment, please have a look. If there is a number, right, only number, how the code will work? So code will work normally. Initially, you will get 90, 100. Perfect. Then it will come here. It will parse that number and you will get only 90. And then when you try to print 90 plus 100, it will just print 190. Means if everything is okay in the code, you will not get any exception, right? Your code will be work smoothly. So at this moment, it will not come inside catch block. And if I run, see the output. I'm just getting normal result. Okay, this is the second example. So I'm getting normal result. But if I have anything like this, we know that at this moment, this line, okay, this line will throw the exception. Whenever there is an exception, guys, it will never continue with the next line, right? It will directly come to the catch block. Means after line number 30, control will come directly to the catch block and you will get this message inside the console. So instead of red color line now, you will get the meaningful message only. And then that user will get this message that, okay, fine, please enter the valid string with number only. Then user will change that valid string and then only user will see the correct result. Are you getting my point? So remember, if try block, we have written 5 statement. And if first statement throwing the exception, remaining 4 statement will be not executed. First, it will come to the catch block and it will handle that exception. This is the important point which you need to remember. Correct? So how we are handling using try catch? Any runtime exception. So this is the way. So at this moment, you can see I'm not getting any red color line. I'm just getting some meaningful message for that user. Correct? Now, let me show you third example, which we have seen under runtime. So we discuss about array, correct? Let me remove this comment and now please have a look. So currently we are having this array and we know that what is the problem? If you pass wrong index number, you will get the wrong result. So can I write a meaningful message? Can I handle this? Yes. So better I will write inside the try block, that statement, and then I will write catch block. At this moment, what exception we are getting? Guys, one more point. If you don't know, okay, what exception is coming at that line? Suppose at this moment, I don't know array index out of bound exception. Then you can write parent class name, exception, exception object. This is perfectly fine. Are you getting my point? So you can write parent class name if you don't know which exception it is throwing. And there I can write a meaningful message to the user. Please enter, okay, please enter valid index value. Correct? So if you write a valid index value, you will get the correct result. That's it. So basically, I'm guiding the user that, okay, whenever you are trying to print array information, don't pass invalid index. If you write invalid, you will get this catch block executed and you will able to see this message. Let's see. At this moment, suppose if I write valid one, then catch block will be executed. But if there is no exception, it will never come inside catch. You will just see done. Correct? So try block will run. And if there is no exception, try after try statement, it will just execute done. See, if I run, what result I'm getting? I'm just getting 40, 30 and done. Correct? But if I put any wrong indexing for that particular indexing, whenever try will throw the exception, statement will be handled by whom? Statement will be handled by that catch block. And then only catch block result you will see in the console. So please have a look if I try to run this. See, I'm getting please enter valid index value and then I'm getting done. So this is called exception handling because you are handling something, you are writing valid message to the user, then user will follow that statement, right? And user will change the data. And then in that case, you will not able to see any exception. Got it? So application should be guided to the user where that user is wrong. And for any wrong step, application should provide us meaningful message. And this is possible using exception handling. Got it? So this is one point which I wanted to show you. Okay, let's try to handle last example, which is arithmetic exception. And I hope everybody you are understanding the topic, how to handle any runtime exception. Now tell me, where we can apply try block? The line which is throwing exception on that line. So we know that we have a problem with division, correct? So better I will write that statement inside the try block. And there we can write catch. What it will catch? So let's copy the exception name, arithmetic exception. And here I'm writing any object, correct? and then we can provide meaningful message to the user. Okay, so better, okay, A is already taken. Let me take T. And at this moment, I will write meaningful message to the user that, okay, please enter number other than 0. Okay, other than 0. Otherwise, okay, otherwise, let me write, you will get. And if you wanted to print that message also, okay, which message is it? Divide by 0 error, right? Then I can just write, okay, this T dot get message. Okay, now please have a look. So currently, explicitly, I have written second number as a 0. Absolutely, try block will throw the exception. It will come to catch and now it will handle it. And then you will able to see result for multiplication too. And please have a look. Here, I'm not getting red color line. Now I'm getting that complete message. Okay, please enter number other than 0. Otherwise, you will get divide by 0. Correct? And this is called exception handling. So guys, runtime exception handling, it is quite easy. Using try catch block, you guys need to handle this exception. And these are the rules that you can follow. Please tell me, are you clear with this topic? What is exception handling in Java? And only one type, which is runtime. Now let me show you what does mean by compile time exception. So please have a look. Very first, one example I will show you here, which is for compile time. Okay. So compile time exception means generally developer whenever they develop any class, right? Somewhere with the help of that class, they are throwing internally some exception. And then that's the reason whenever you use that class in the code, you will get that line that this line will throw one exception. And then that exception immediately you need to throw. Okay. So remember few point, compile time exception handled by the JVM. Responsibility is whom? Responsibility it is for JVM. So example, just observe. Suppose I'm writing one statement. Okay. I'm writing program started. Fine. And let me copy this statement. I'm writing one more. Okay. Let me copy and let me use it here. Program. Okay. Program ended. Great. But in between this, okay, at this moment, see if I run the code, these are just two statements. You can immediately see the result. Program started, program ended. Okay, great. But now in between this, I will be adding one Java class, which is called thread class. So in Java, support multi-threading and we have this thread class available. But when you say thread dot, there we have one method, sleep method. In sleep method, if you can pass timeout in millisecond, means suppose if I wanted to wait for 4 seconds, I need to write 4000 millisecond because 1 second it is equal to 1000 millisecond. Okay. So I'm writing here 4000 millisecond. Everything I have written correctly, but still I'm getting red color line. In that case, you can keep your mouse pointer then and see what the message you are getting. It says unhandled exception type, interrupted exception. Means internally Java thread dot sleep method throws one exception and that exception name is interrupted exception. But see the ways to handle compile time. As I told you, right? We can handle it using try catch and even we can handle it using throws keyword. Right here I have mentioned that. Same thing. So we are having solution from Java that either add throws or either do try catch. Let me show you. If I can just use throws keyword, what is meaning of throws keyword? Guys, throws keyword will be applicable to that method within method where you are getting that exception. Means see, if I design tomorrow any method, okay, just have a look how we can handle it. Okay, if I design any method tomorrow, let's say I'm writing public void show method. And I know that here one statement which is throwing the compilation exception. What I will do, I will just add here one keyword throws. Throws keyword always we need to add to the method declaration. Throws what exception? Whatever exception it is throwing, you can write here. then it is the responsibility of this method to handle this exception. Are you getting my point? And this method we can call directly from JVM. So actually, JVM is responsible to handle this exception. That's the reason it is called compile time. Clear? We are not writing any code for this. So basically, if any compile time exception it is, first choice will be throws. Declare throws exception. Now you can see what is this? These are the parent-child hierarchy, everyone. Interrupted exception, it is a child of exception class. Exception is a child of throwable class. Currently, I'm taking just same interrupted exception only. Now what will happen? So this method will help you to pause in between the process. So just have a look. Now if I try to run this, I'm getting program started. And after 4 seconds, you will see program ended. Done. Because of 4-second pause, thread.sleep will help you to pause the process. These two statements executed after 4-second delay. Correct? So whenever one statement is running, after 4 seconds, second statement is running. See, it is waiting, 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 right? And now it is executing last state. So this is because of the thread.sleep method. Are you clear what is compile time exception? But guys, remember, compile time exception is always responsibility of whom? Responsibility of this particular main function or JVM. Correct now? Generally, it is handled by the JVM. But I would like to cover one more scenario related to throws. So just have a look. If I can show you throws keyword properly, okay, just observe the concept. Okay, let me take main function, right? And guys, I'm just going to do here few method. Let's say I'm writing M1 method, okay, and then I'm writing here what M2 method. So let me write public void, okay, M2 method. Then I'm trying to write here again third method public. Just let me write public and void, okay, M3 method. Let's say M3 method have this exception thread dot sleep, okay, and I'm writing 3000 millisecond here. And yes, as it is, all three are instance method. So to call this, we need throws keyword object. Correct now? So here I'm creating object T1. It is equal to new. And let's say T1 is calling M1 method. Okay. Let me call M1 method. Great. So now guys, this is a general programming that you know, but consider what happens here. I'm just making a chain. M1 is calling M2 method, right? M2 is calling M3 method. Okay. So this is what the calling technique. So what I'm expecting, whenever I'm calling M1, M1 will be called and M1 will automatically call M2. M2 will automatically call M3. Whenever control will come to M3, and if there is an exception, thread.sleep, and we know that this is compile time exception, right? Immediately that method has to handle it. Correct now? Now this thread.sleep I have written within M3 method. So guys, absolutely when I write throws declaration, what is the problem? Now M3 throwing exception and that M3 method who is calling M2 means M2 also handle the same exception. See, interrupted exception. But again, M2 is called by M1 and M1 also has to handle that throws exception. But who is calling M1? Everyone. At the end, M1 is called by main function. Means it's a responsibility of a main function also to handle compile time exception. And finally, main will be called by JVM, means who is handling your exception at this moment? Your exception getting handled by JVM. And that's the reason throws keyword will always help you to throws that exception. But suppose that method you are calling in some other method, there it will be problem. Whenever we are calling that method, in every method you are throwing same exception. Are you understanding what is the purpose of throws? So basically, if you are, this is very common interview question, okay? What is throws keyword? How it will handle the exception? So the method where the statement is available, if it is throwing any exception, we can declare throws declaration to the method. But suppose that method you are calling in some other method, then in every method you need to throw the same exception. And that's the reason, guys, what is a better approach? So I don't want to follow this throws concept. I don't want to follow this throws in every other method, because you can see the problem in this scenario is what? I'm calling M3 in M2, I'm calling M2 in M1, and finally I want this chain result. But what is the problem? If I throws it in every method, I have to throw it where I'm calling that method. And that's the reason at the end, main function also need to throw it. But another approach is what? Then if you don't want to throw any method, let's say if you don't want to throw any exception, if I comment this line, so better you can do what? You can apply try catch. So can I write here, see, try, this is the statement, and let me write catch, correct? Currently what exception we are getting? Interrupted exception. And if you don't know or parent class name, no problem at all. And I'm just writing here. Okay. So this line, okay, this line or this line throws, okay, throws, let me write exception, right? So at this moment, system will not pause. At this moment, system will simple give me this line throws exception or any meaningful message you can write, and you will see that result. So if I run this code, I will just able to see that message. How the program is running, just have a look. Okay, now it will wait for 3 seconds and then you will see something in this message. But yes, when you will see the message, whenever that thread dot slip will be executed, okay, I mean, if it is throwing exception, then only you will able to see that message. Correct? Example C. In try block itself, if I'm writing here, okay, hello. And suppose after 3 seconds, I'm writing hi. Okay, now you will see something in a console. Previously, console was empty, right? Console was empty. Now let me run it. So when I say run as a Java application, see I'm getting hello. After 3 seconds, it will just come hi, right? And then catch block is not executing. Why? Because everything working fine. This line I have handled. And that's the reason I'm not getting this message at this moment. Correct, everyone? So remember, throws keyword, if you follow in every method, you need to call and you need to, define this throws exception. So that is called compile time. And compile time, we have a both solution. Either you can handle it using try catch or you can directly throw it. But if you follow try catch, you don't need to throw it in every method. That is another beauty. So whenever we will design a framework and if there is an exception, we will try to handle it using try catch. We will not throw it because we know the rule. If you throw, whenever you are calling that method in some other class, in every class you need to throw the exception. Because of that rule, whenever generally in automation, you will understand any utility to create. You will understand any framework to design. There we always follow, okay, try catch block, not exactly throw scheme. But yes, this is also important to know. Okay, now guys, I wanted to show you few things. Like first is, okay, these are the different keywords for exception handling, and we have just seen try, catch, and throws. But there is a one more keyword, finally block. One more, which is a throw keyword. I would like to show you purpose of these two, right? But I think this topic we will continue in the next class. One last scenario for property I will show you related to same compile time exception. Just have a look. In Java, we have a very special class available, properties. Okay. Properties class will help you to maintain the properties, means some key value pair information about the object. And this topic will be learning in automation also. Correct. But let me show you, because there we are going to throw multiple exception. Okay, so let me show you one more beauty of a throws keyword. So what I'm going to do in the project, I'm just creating one file. Just have a look. And this file is special file. So I'm just writing config. Okay, my file name is config.properties. Everyone, config.properties. Now in Selenium, we use this file just to maintain our object repository. Means any object and its key value pair information you wanted to hold. You can use this properties file. At this moment, suppose I'm writing basic properties. Okay, what's the username? Let me write what is user name. Okay, and username I'm writing suppose J. Fine. Okay, I'm writing password. What is password? I'm writing test123 is a password. Something related to browser property. Something like this. Okay, let's write browser name. And what is the browser name? I'm writing browser name is Chrome. Correct? So anything, any object properties if you wanted to maintain, right, as a key value pair, you will be writing in this manner. Key, username, password, browser name, it is a key. And J, test123 Chrome, this is the value. Okay, I will save this file. But now I'm trying to show you how you will read information from the file. So guys, this example related to compile time exception. So I'm covering here. Let me create a new class. I will show you, okay, properties, file, read concept. Okay, properties file reading. How to read any properties file? In general, okay, in programming, try to understand whenever any file information is there and you wanted to read it. In Java, we have a file class where we can declare, we can declare path of the file. Very first, what you need? You need to tell the Java, okay, which file you wanted to read. Where is that file available in your machine? So very first file class we need to declare to define path of that file. Okay. Then how we are reading the content of the file? Now see, I don't wanted to read only one single line. Correct now? I don't wanted to read only one line. I wanted to read one by one all the lines from the file. So there is one important class we'll be using, which is called file input stream. File input stream class, which helps, remember, which helps to read content, contents in, I will say stream. Stream means continuously we are able to read all the data from that file. But then guys, we need to do one more step. Okay. This file is not a text file. I'll show you how you can handle text file also. But this file is what? It is a completely properties file, very special file. So properties file needs properties, okay? Properties class object, okay? And then we need to load the file. Better I will write here. Then we need to load the file. And then you can read data from file using, okay, using, let's say, get property method. Using get property method where you can pass a key and this method returns you value. So hardly four line of code and you will ready to read your property file data. So let me explain this part. I will declare file class, file F1, it is equal to new and file constructor where you can write inside the constructor path of that file. Remember, file class coming from, it's a predefined class coming from java.io package and it is expecting some path. Okay, now tell me where is your property file? See here it is, right? Either you will go to the path, I mean this path you can copy and you can paste, no problem at all. So at this moment, if I just copy and paste, this is a long path. You can see such a long path I have entered, but I will show you solution how you can minimize the path. Fine. At this moment, let it be. Then what I can do, I can call f1 dot, okay, file input string, correct or better. We need to declare directly file input stream object. Don't call f1 dot. Okay, it is not a part of f1 or file class. It's a separate class. File input stream fs is equal to new. I will be writing file input stream. Okay. And in this class constructor, you will pass f1 object. Then only constructor will be defined. But at this moment, have a look. Now, if I import it from same java.io package, but this line will throw the exception, file not found exception. And see, whenever you are getting exception at compile time, means while writing the code itself, generally we use the technique throws keyword. Okay, so that this time I'm just throwing it. But look at the screen properly. File not found exception. Who is the parent of this class? Guys, IO exception is the parent of this class. Exception is a parent of IO exception, and throwable is a parent of exception class. Currently, I'm declaring as it is, file not found. Great. And then I have to create properties class object. So we have a ready-made class. Again, it is coming from java.io package. Sorry, java.util package. Okay, so let's see. Suppose I'm writing properties p1. It is equal to new and properties constructor. Great. Now you can see from where we are calling it java.util. Correct now? And when you try to load the file, how you will load the file? So you need to use properties object. P1 dot, there is a direct method load, and there you are loading your file input string, right? But at this moment, this line also throw one exception, and say which exception it is? IO exception. So if I just use throws, can you just have a look? My file input not or file not found exception is gone, and now I'm just getting IO exception. Why? Because if you declare any parent class, child will be automatically handled. Remember, even though instead of IO exception, if I say exception, then this class will never throw other exceptions. Everything will be automatically handled by this parent class. Perfect. No problem at all. And then how we can read? So let's have a look. I wanted to print here username. Correct now? So I'm writing username is, and here I will write p1 dot get property method. Pass your key with what is the key? We have a key username that is written in the property file. Correct now? Then this line will print username in the console. Similarly, I wanted to show you browser name suppose. What I will do, I will just write, okay, fine. Browser name is, okay, and see. I'm writing here p1 dot b name. Sorry, p1 dot get property and just pass your browser name as a key. So let me write here properly browser name. Correct? And see, if I run this code, whatever available in that file, I am able to print it inside the console. Everyone, are you clear? See, I'm printing J, I'm printing Chrome, correct? So this is a very simple 4 line of code just to read a data from the property file. I have covered it because sometimes we need to throw the exception, and then this is how you will throw the exception. Are you getting my point? And what is the solution of this long path? How we can handle it? See, till this Java learning, this is the path of your project. Okay, what I can do, I can remove this. I know this is the file which I wanted to read, correct? But this file is a part of our project. So guys, there is a shortcut. How to write or how to write a shortcut path where you can read everything directly from your current project. Just to reach a current, current space, or I can say current user, okay, where the project is available, that is your current directory. Then you can use here system class of Java. There you can use one more method get property, and we can just pass a property user.directory. And inside user.directory, you can put this path. So this line will take direct path of your project, current directory path you will able to fetch. And from current directory, it will just reach to config.properties. Now see, if I save this code, if I try to run, this will also work. Got it? So I am able to read both the values, name, username, and that particular browser name also. This is what you need to understand using throws keyword. Clear? So do practice. I will upload the code. I will upload the recording too. And two more topics I will cover. What is a finally block and what is a throw keyword. How it will help you to customize the exception. We will see it tomorrow. And tomorrow only we'll be starting with Selenium. Okay, fine. So I think today it is done. 1 hour we have already, we have extended the session 10-15 minutes. So better we will wait and remaining topics we will continue tomorrow. Okay, chalo. Let's stop the session, everyone. Bye bye. Take care. Have a nice day. We will continue tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.